Hey everybody, I'm JJ Johnson. You're watching Reality Survival. So today I want to talk with you about 20 things to not do if you bug out. Let's get started. Number one, don't forget to pay your bills and your mortgage before you leave. You never know how long a situation is going to last. Maybe it only lasts a couple of weeks, maybe it lasts a month or so. But it would be nice to be able to come back, to your home and not have, be behind on your mortgage payments and have screwed up your credit and stuff like that, just in case it was sort of a false start emergency. Number two is don't burn bridges before you leave. Make sure you keep a good relationship up with your neighbors, your friends, group members, whatever the case may be, because, well, they may be a little more inclined to help defend your property or whatever while you're gone. You just never know. Hard to say, but if you burn those bridges and you make people mad, you can almost be guaranteed that they're gonna, loot your stuff, go through your house, whatever the case may be. Number three, don't announce to your whole neighborhood that you're leaving. You may want to tell some close friends. Might want to invite them to come with you, but you don't really want to let everybody know that you're leaving. And it really is situationally dependent if you tell anybody else or not. Kind of depends on the relationships you have with your neighbors and stuff like that. But yeah, I wouldn't be advertising it if you decide to bug out. Number four is you don't want to tell anybody where you're going. In fact, you may want to tell people that you're going somewhere in the opposite direction, or maybe give them some sort of cover story that you're going to go visit with family to help take care of family or something along those lines. You don't want them to be able to give up your location if they're pressed. Number five, you don't want to leave without your vehicle, an ATV, a bicycle, or some alternative way to carry your bug out bag. You also want to make sure that you load your vehicle up in a discreet manner, maybe pull it in your garage or something like that when you're getting ready to leave so everybody doesn't see it. Number six is don't leave without your bug out bag, obviously, and take as much and as many provisions with you as you can. You want to load that vehicle up or your ATV up or whatever you're going to use as much as humanly possible, because the more you have with you, the better off you're going to be in the long run. In the pack itself, you don't want to have more than 20% of your body weight, if at all possible, especially if you're going to walk several miles, unless you know that you can carry more weight than that. If you practice it on a regular basis, then you should be fine. But as a general guide, 20% is about as much as an average person is going to be able to carry for a long distance on their back when they're not used to it. Number eight is don't use major freeways for your route. Plan your route so that you take secondary and tertiary type roads to get to your destination. You got a lot better chance of getting through on those roads than you do major freeways during a big disaster type situation. And number nine is don't leave without a final destination in mind. In fact, you should always use the PACE acronym when planning, situations like this. So remember, primary, alternate, contingency, and emergency. Have those ideas in your head before you go so that you can know, what kind of things you're going to need and all that kind of stuff before you get there. Number 10. Don't leave without a logical cover story in place. You want to make sure that you have a story that you're going to be able to tell any kind of authority or somebody running a roadblock or a checkpoint or anything like that, where you're going, why you're going there, what route you're going to take, all that kind of stuff. It needs to seem logical and, it needs to make sense. And all the members of your family need to know what that story is. And, like I said earlier, I think I mentioned earlier, you could say you're going to help a sick family member or something along those lines. It needs to be something that is fairly innocuous. Innocuous, is that the right word? I don't know. Non-threatening. And plausible for the situation that you're in. Number 11 is don't go unarmed. Each member of your group needs to have at least a concealed carry pistol and a primary rifle, if possible, when you're going. Okay, so number 12 is, depending on the situation, you may not want to have your firearms out in the open, or if the situation has devolved into a really bad situation and there's not a lot of law enforcement presence and stuff like that, then you may want to carry them open. But you need to examine the situation and determine whether or not your weapons should be concealed or whether they should be carried out in the open to act as a deterrent. Okay, number 13 is don't look military or tactical. Now this one is kind of a situationally dependent thing as well. You know, if you're in a more rural area, you can probably get by with, you know, more of that look, or civilian style camo or something along those lines. If you're closer into the city or you're going out of the city, you probably want to avoid that. If you're in a situation where it's devolved really far and, you know, there's not a lot of law enforcement presence, then it might be better to look more tactical to try to keep people from attacking you. So again, kind of situationally dependent, but the bottom line is think about how you dress and where you're going to go, what environment you're going to be in, and what you want to look like to keep yourself from being a target. Number 14, when you stop for the night, make sure you get well off the road, stay out of sight, stay concealed, and you know, don't draw any undue attention to yourself. Get off that road and get where people can't see you. Number 15, I think it's 15, is don't burn a fire at night if at all possible. If you do have to burn a fire, consider using a Dakota hole fire pit. And I've got a video on that if you guys want to check that out as well. Number 16 is don't all sleep at once. You want to make sure that you got at least one person up on guard, keeping the watch while the others sleep. And make sure that your shifts are not more than 3 to 4 hours at the most, because it's real easy to fall asleep if it's any longer than that. Number 17 is don't trespass on private property. This is a good, easy way to get you killed, especially in a real disaster situation. Make sure you plan your route to kind of where you're trying to stop for the night on public land, national forest, BLM, state or county land, or as a very last resort, you may want to look up and find corporate pieces of land that large corporations own, that maybe they're waiting to mine or to do something along those lines, or they bought for an investment that nobody actually lives on them. Just try to avoid public or private property if at all possible. Number 18 is don't mark your destination on your map. You may even want to mark a fake location on your map so that if anybody looks at your map, it'll match your cover story. Number 19 is don't approach your final destination immediately upon your arrival. You want to actually stop a good ways out from it and conduct a little bit of surveillance, both on the location as well as on yourself, to make sure that nobody has been following you. Number 20 is once you get to your location, you get unloaded and all that kind of stuff, don't become complacent. Make sure that you have weapons available. Make sure that you always have somebody on watch, on guard, to look out for any intruders coming in or anything like that. Essentially, you want to make sure you keep your guard up and stay sharp. And the bonus one is, if at all possible, don't travel alone. You're going to be a lot better off if you have a small group with you, numbering at least 4 people, hopefully maybe closer to 6 if possible. That's a small enough group that it's still light and agile, you can move fairly quickly, but it's large enough to be, a fairly good fighting force if it was necessary. Okay guys, so that has been 20 things not to do if you bug out. I would really like to know, what do you guys think are some other things not to do if you bug out? Stick those down in the comments below. I really appreciate it. As always guys, I definitely appreciate it if you use our Amazon link to buy your stuff at Amazon. It's down in the description below. It does not cost you anything, and it really helps us out here at the channel a whole bunch, and I deeply appreciate it. As always, I definitely appreciate it when you click the thumbs up button, when you share it with your friends on Facebook, Twitter, and Google+. And don't forget to live the 6 Ps. Proper prior preparation prevents poor performance. Stay safe, guys.